Hello, gang. Are you there? You are. Somebody is. Good, good, good. Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday, July 3rd. You know what they call the 4th of July in Canada? The 4th of July. Old Canadian joke there. Greetings. My name's Dan, and this is Daily Art Adventure number, I have to look, 929. Woohoo! And I've called it Doing a Stylistic Sketch for a Painting. Ouch. I'm damaging my hearing. I guess I'll leave you on this, my camera there for a minute. Let me show you what I'm doing. I'm doing a 24 by 36 inch painting of a memory. A woman, her name is Vidette, new friend of mine. She wants me to do a painting of a memory from her youth, childhood youth. Here's what she sent me, basically. All this does is show her piano teacher and her two friends on each side of her at the time frame of which we are speaking here. And I went ahead and made a copy of that so I can put that value, plus I color corrected it a little bit here. And then I blew up, this is all part of the business. Blew up that photograph. So this is Vidette at age 13, about 40 years ago. Whoops, I shouldn't say that, should I? Now you know how old she is. Maybe 39. I think it was 29 years ago. And her two friends. Anyway, these girls sang a trio at a television fundraiser in New Bern, North Carolina, a fundraiser for, I forget now, MS or something like that. And so I began doing sketches. Now I'll move you guys. So I'm just going to run through real quickly to show you, and some of you already saw this the other day, so forgive me for repeating, but okay, ignore all this for the moment. I first did a real quick, hello Aiden Burns, hello Lunas Bix and Ray Brown. Ray, thank you, Ray. I've mentioned you several times in the last couple of weeks. Ray is the one who gifted me with the new clapper that is damaging my hearing. Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it. Hello, Soumya from India, I believe, and Maggie W. Happy 4th. Exactly. All right, so I first did a real quick, just a thumbnail, and normally I would do 10, 15, 20 of those, but I did one, and for some reason I felt ready to go to the next level. That's very unusual. So the next sketch was here. Literally, it was here, but I erased it because after I did this drawing, I turned this page over, turned on my light table, like so, and traced this drawing onto this side. You with me? So then I came up with this drawing. This I then scanned into my computer and tweaked it in Photoshop so that I had this. This is what I emailed to my client. Okay? And she liked it a lot and said, keep going. So the next level, this is what I did day before yesterday. So what I did 2 days ago is, I have this somewhere. I took this image on my computer and I blew it up. And so this is exactly half the size of the final painting. Final painting is going to be 24 by 36. This is 12 by 18, right? So I took this and I traced it somewhat and came up with this drawing. So you see, I did their faces with a fine pencil, right? Everything else is kind of fat pencil. but there are three faces in this man right here. I did, oh, that girl, I guess I did. Anyway, did a fairly careful. Ready? So how many sketches is this? I got thumbnail, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is sketch number 5. Then I, again, turn this page over. And here's, so this is a mirror image, you understand. This, you understand this trick? Oh, you're seeing it twice now. I drew this. Then I turned on my light table and turned what was a blank on the other side, turned it over and traced. I do this trick a lot. I've done this trick for decades and decades, even with my cartoons way back in the day. I found it the easiest way to make corrections because you're seeing a mirror image. All right, so then, once again, I took this image that I finished day before yesterday. I scanned it once again into Photoshop. And then in Photoshop, I sort of colorized it, not in black and white. Let me use that silly terminology. I toned it, if you will. I did most of the shading. There's a little bit of shading here, but not much, because I knew I was going to do this, and I said, now it'll be a lot easier to do in Photoshop. So here it is Photoshopped. And this is what I sent to my client, Vidette, that's her right there, 2 days ago. And she got back to me with predictable response. Okay, I'm going to tell you what the response was, and I'll tell you that it's predictable. Her response was, yeah, everything looks great except for our three faces. Not that those don't look like teenage girls singing. That does look, they do look like teenage girls singing. By the way, in Photoshop, I even did things like I tweaked their faces. I could blow them up, in Photoshop. I can make each head face this big, and I moved features. So this is not an exact copy of that. It's flopped, as you can see. In Photoshop, I put it back around the right way. But I moved eyes and noses because it's so much easier to do in Photoshop than it is on pencil. Got it? So she liked everything except predictably, and that is predictable. She said, not crazy about the faces. Now here's why she's not crazy about the faces. I knew this was coming. I didn't tell her, but I knew it was coming. She knows what the three of them look like. And these faces are drawn in much too much detail, so that she's looking at them and I'll go, but that doesn't look like us. Now, honestly, I'm telling you the truth. I did take, oh, that's one. That's not the one I was looking for. I did take this photograph of the Vidette and her two friends and try to emulate, what they look like. I really did. But I don't know if most people know this. I really don't know if most people know this. Typically, an artist cannot take a photograph like this and replicate that person at an angle and actually achieve a likeness. I mean, maybe there's probably some freaky genius, probably a savant out there who can do that, but thank God I'm not a savant. All right, so what am I going to do about this? Well, good news, I have figured out at least I'm going to take a good stab at doing this. Here's what I need to do, and that's where the title of this broadcast comes from. So I printed out this image right here, actual size. That is to say, this is the size that the faces will be in the final 24 by 36 inch painting. Get it? And I printed it on slightly heavier paper, not real heavy, because my printer, of course, won't handle heavy paper, but this is a little thicker than copy paper. All right? So you with me so far? So what I'm going to do now is, because this is the only way I can think of. I made 3 copies just so I have 3 chances to blow it, if you will. Now all of a sudden I really do want one of those photographs for color reference. I'm going to do a gouache. That's gouache with a G. Here we go. There's my color go by. I'm going to do a gouache painting on top of this print and try to imitate, give the impression of an impressionistic oil painting. All right, so my main project, my main assignment will be to make these faces much more impressionistic. That's my, what's the word? That's my salvation. That's what can rescue me. Come on and rescue me. That's what can rescue me from this this I've painted myself into a corner by drawing the faces so carefully. Now I don't apologize for that, because as you can see right now, I'm actually using my careful drawing as a template, or a template. I think the real word is template. I'm using the careful drawing as a template for this painting. So I just real quickly here, as you can see, I tried to mix up a general flesh tone. I'm gonna call that good enough. This girl is a little bit browner than the first girl, so let's make her just a little bit browner. And by the way, I'm going to use my trick. See, when I turn on the lights, the light table, I can still see some of the underpainting. I'm going to cover up this girl, eyes, nose, ears, mouth, everything. So the trick here, and it is a trick, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm just thinking, okay, I've got to render these faces. I might do her hand as well, just for fun. I have to render these faces in an impressionistic manner. Does that make sense? But they need to look believable. They need to look like whoever did the painting is, quote unquote, a good drawer, a good artist. They can't be anatomically wrong. You know, they have to be correct, or they won't look right. They have to look correct, but they can't be detailed. So let's just find out. We're going to find out together whether I'm up to this or not. I don't remember, honestly, ever doing this before. This is not something that I read somewhere and said, oh, here's how you do that. You do a gouache painting to, anyway, I just made this up myself because it seemed like the most obvious solution. So if I can come up with a impressionistic gouache painting, and I may come up with 3 of them. In fact, you know what? I think I'm going to do that. Instead of grabbing the hairdryer and drying that, I'm just going to do the same thing all over again. I'll give you, for what this won't do for this particular painting, but let me give you a rule of thumb that works for me when I'm doing a scenic painting. So please understand, I'm talking here not about a figurative painting. A figurative painting, in my mind, that means a painting that a human figure is the primary element, is fairly up close and so forth. A figurative painting is a painting of a person, right? A human, a figure. A scenic painting, in my case, because most of my paintings are cityscapes, I have a lot of pedestrians. And for me, and I really honestly, I learned this the hard way. The line of demarcation, the boundary line for me is facial features. If I start painting eyes, nose, mouth, ears, eyebrows, and so forth on pedestrians, then I've crossed over the line, and the painting suffers considerably. So that's just, for what it's worth, I'm going to go ahead and do the third one. That's my boundary line. Now I have, for instance, I have a good friend named Nicole Kennedy. Feel free to Google her. Nicole, spelled the traditional way. Kennedy, spelled the traditional way. She does also quite a few cityscapes, but she really specializes, if I can say that, in beach people. People at the beach. People swimming, running, laying, walking. We have beautiful, beautiful white sand, windswept, wave-caressed beaches, wide beaches in North Carolina. Most people think of Florida beaches. I did before I began dating a North Carolina native 41 years ago. I didn't even think about beaches in North Carolina. But it turns out we have beautiful beaches. So Nicole does, they could be anywhere, but we certainly have a lot of people at beaches. And she does facial features on her beach people, even though it's you could argue that it's a scenic painting. It's a picture of the beach, waves, horizon, lifeguard stand, sea oats waving in the breeze, all that kind of stuff, but people running, and somehow she manages to pull it off. So a little bit of contrast there. So my rule certainly sounds like it might not be absolute, if you will, because I have a friend who violates my rule with great success. All right. And so here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm looking for, that looks like a good smaller flat brush. I'm almost dipping my brushes in my tea. Not recommended. You can't quite see what I'm doing. Let me expand you over here. So I'm trying to mix up a dark brown, just a neutral dark brown. My gouache palette is kind of a mess compared to most of my palettes. I'm usually a kind of a neat guy. Evidently, all neatness went out the window when I began using this gouache palette many years ago. All right, done mixing for a while. So I think I have a dark brown. And yeah, I'm going to turn on the light table. So here's what I'm thinking. Can I indicate, I should have covered up that girl's teeth when I did. Okay, now let's do a mid-tone brown. I'm thinking if I can, oops, that's too dark. If I can capture facial features in just a few strokes, that's what I'm aiming for. It'll leave that right just like that. So as you can see, I'm using the anatomical drawing that I did a couple days ago. I'm relying on it quite heavily, so I don't have to redraw, rework the anatomy, get my lines in the right. I've already done all that. I feel pretty confident about the accuracy of the drawing. You really could call what I'm doing now, you could call it the essence of abstraction. What is, and that's a description of all good painting. It's an exercise in abstraction. Right, now let's see what happens next. Let's find a really tiny brush now. not a Winsor Newton Series 7, so whoops, and I do not have any really dark paint mixed up, so bear with me just a minute. Again, let's see if I can mix it up in here. Some dark brown and some dark blue. I don't want it to be too dark. That would truly be a mistake, but I'm looking for something to indicate eyeballs. I can't see through, even with the light on, I can't see. So if I am successful, which I certainly hope I will be, if I'm able to render these girls so they're believable but abstract, then I will email this image. I'll scan it in Photoshop again, and I'll email that to my client, and if she approves of it, then I'll have the unenviable challenge of trying to copy, if you will, or imitate this impressionistic feel in oils. So you understand, when it comes time to do the oil painting, I'll be copying a copy of a copy of a copy. I'll be imitating this gouache painting. All right, now I have small brush, white paint. By the way, I'm feeling quite a bit like an illustrator right now. And that's okay. But this does indeed, it feels a lot to me like illustration work. Kind of slick. My impression is one of the characteristics of most illustration is it's kind of slick. The opposite of overworked. A little bit of highlight now on Let me zoom in so you guys can see what I'm looking at. I should have done more red. But maybe it's not too late. No, actually it's not too late. I'm going to use the same small brush. In fact, speaking of not too late, let me give you a tip, a trick. I use this when I'm doing, especially when I'm doing small portraits. These are not portraits, but when I am, same trick. One trick that you can use is paint things in this order, from far away to close. This has nothing to do with watercolor, so you watercolors ignore this. Acrylic, oil, gouache. So the teeth are closer to us than the dark inside of her mouth. Does that make sense? The dark of her mouth is a cavity, and her teeth are I'll use my hands. And her teeth are in front of that dark cavity, and her lips are in front of her teeth. So one trick is to paint them in that order. Dark, then teeth, then lips. So, because many times, if you try to go the other way around, you just run into problems. It looks like they were done in the wrong order. It's really, really weird. Oops. That lip just went overboard. So I'm going to have to redo those teeth, which means I'll be doing them in the wrong order. Now, do you understand? Now I'm violating, but just because of my sloppy painting there a moment ago. I might even put on the dreaded 2 pairs of glasses so I can really see this up close. Oh, it's not taking the white at the moment. I'm going to do, I think, just one more thing, and I still want a pretty small brush, but oh, this looks like a good one, longer bristle. I want to do a tiny bit of blush. Their faces feel a little flat to me at the moment. Don't feel that way to you too? So I don't know if I've got the right color here, but I'm going to go for it anyway. So there's, I mean, this is typical gouache, by the way, hard edge. You know, it is not a blender's friend. Gouache does not lend itself to blending. But that, in fact, is actually, I am going to blend that one. That's actually part of what made me decide to do this in gouache, though, was the fact that I would get a very immediate, graphic feel to the painting. So it's virtually impossible to overwork because it just gets sucked into the paper and you're done. So that's, you know, who knows? That might be the one right there. Maybe I would certainly, because some of you know I use pencils in my paintings, very unconventional. Just a second, I'm sharpening it. For those of you who are new, this pencil here, it's distributed by Jerry's Autorama, and it's called, that's scratched off, Jumbo Jet Black. Hello, Uncle. Good to see you. And Sharon, good to see you. Likewise, thank you. So there was a line down here that I thought. Now the danger with introducing pencil, of course, is that it might just get us into too much detail. We might lose the magic immediacy that I think I achieved fairly well. But so far, it seems to be working okay. So economy of stroke, that would be one of the terms perhaps you could use to describe this technique, this style that I'm doing right now. So let me show you the, here's the pencil drawing that you can see, quite specific. Those look like as if the artist tried to render very specific people that I've never seen before, right? So that's the challenge. These people, of course, are just all made up, so it doesn't matter what they look like. But here's those same 3 girls. Hang on, to make a little change to this girl's cheek. Same 3 girls, hopefully rendered in a more abstract manner. Oh, that looks terrible. I might be painting, again, I might be, so to speak, painting myself into a corner here. All right, I'm going to put that away, and let's try it again, shall we? As soon as I find, here it is, as soon as I find my other copy. Bad brush. Or bad brushmanship, perhaps. Now this one I applied the gouache in a much thinner manner than I did on the other one, so I can still see the drawing underneath fairly well. And that might, in fact, lead to problems, because it might mean that I'm just copying the pencil drawing too carefully, and indeed the pencil drawing was part of the problem, because it's too detailed, too tight. So we'll see. I'll probably end up sending at least 3, I'm guessing, at least 3 versions of this stylistic sketch to my client, who, once again, is this girl right here, all grown up. In this picture, she's 13 years old. I just gave her Dracula eyebrows. There was a hair or something on the painting. I tried to rub it off with my finger. My finger hit the eyebrow. So now she's got a little Dracula thing going on. Now, the one good thing about painting in oils, of course, is that I will have the opportunity to fudge, move things around, scratch, blend, and so forth. But not when I say the word blend, that would send some of you in a bad direction. When I say blend, I don't mean blendy, 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 or brushy, brushy, brushy. I don't. No. I must not get into, overworking, accurate, be overly concerned with accuracy and so forth. That would be you understand, that would be the death of this painting, is if so by blend, I don't mean blend so as to make it more realistic. That would be problematic. All right. Dark enough. And I'm, by the way, right now very much painting out of my head. I'm not looking at, I really don't want to look at a photo reference. I'm just painting out of my general, this is what a human girl face looks like. Does that make sense? Oh, I'm making all kinds of silly, flubby marks just by being careless here. So I did a general mid-tone over the whole thing. Then I did darks and then darker. By the way, by doing it in this manner, I am following my standard, if you will, universal how to paint. This is oil painting. How to paint, or acrylics. How to paint a carefully modeled, that is a rounded or variegated, that is to say it has a lot of shades, lights and darks and so on. Face, hair, trees, clouds, fur, foliage, maybe grass, anything that's busy and you want to achieve a believable effect. There is a formula for that. I've given this many, many times. Let me think now. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and do, no, I have to do teeth next. I'm sorry. The reason I have to do teeth next, sorry, I interrupted myself, so I'll come back to the formula in a minute. So there's actually, I'm giving you 2 separate formulas. Let me no doubt I'm going to confuse half of you. 2 separate formulas. I'll finish what I was about to say then. Okay, here it is. Mid-tone over the whole thing. Did that. Mid-tone over the whole thing. Then dark details, then light details. That's how to paint clouds, fur, trees, foliage, hair, anything that's variegated, mottled, and you want it modeled. Okay, mottled means speckly. Mottled means shaded, rounded. Fabric, clothing. Okay, the formula is, let me give that to you again. Mid-tone, whatever, green, brown, blue, red, whatever it may be. Mid-tone over the whole thing, then dark details, then light details. And as I usually say, beginner will say to me, well, can't you do it the other way around? Can't you do light detail, light highlights, and then dark details. That's the way I do it. Well, if it's working for you, go for it. But the answer is no. The order is critical. And I'm not going to explain any more than that right now. I'm just going to give, that's the rule. Every rule can be broken. Every rule can be successfully broken. But if you don't know the rule, you're probably just screwing up. All right, so the rule again is mid-tone with a wide brush. Then dark details and light details. All right, now let me give you I'm going to contradict myself right here. So put on your seatbelt, okay? Here's another. When you're doing faces, small portrait faces, like I'm doing here, there is another formula that is in conflict with the first one I gave you, and you have to decide. This is why every rule can be broken. Why? Because there's usually countervening or other principles that come. Okay, so here it is. I've already given it to you once, but I'll give it to you again. The other is paint what's farthest away first and then move forward. So when it comes to the eye, which one, well, the iris and the whites are on the same plane, but generally we feel as though the iris is on top of the white. So whites first, then iris, then eyelids, then flesh. So just paint literally from far to close. Mouth, so this is a different formula. Do you understand? And you have to decide which formula should get the priority in every single painting. So in the mouth, you would paint the dark hole of the mouth first, and then if the mouth is open, the teeth then are closer, but the lips are closer than the teeth. And I'm repeating myself now. So, but there you go. Two separate and competing formulas, two mindsets, and you have to decide which one, in each case, which one should get which principle, which rule, which guideline should get the priority. There is no one size fits all answer. It's a case by case, and maybe somewhat, which one you're most familiar or most comfortable with. I mean, okay, now I'm trying to mix up a pale pink for cheeks. There we go, and nose. I say, Let me try to mix up some of my original flesh tone and correct her Dracula eyebrow and her smeared eye. See, for some reason, I feel like this one is a little bit more precise than this one, and more likely to get us in trouble because of its precision. So I've used up two of these already. I'm redoing this girl's flesh tone completely. I've only got one more copy left, so here we go. And I've already done the mid-tone over the whole area here. Here we go. I'm just going to try it again. And trying to be a little more looser. English majors, hush. A little looser. For that matter, let me get rid of this nice. This was a really nice brush. Look at that, with a nice razor sharp. That's maybe what got me into trouble with the last one. That brush was just entirely too nice. Let me find a messier brush. Not that messy. I've got one here. Let me look in. Uncle, part of the reason I'm not using these brushes, my favorite ones that you gave me at Christmas, are in my other watercolor kit. This one maybe. Which at the moment is at a place of business where I was painting a mural a couple weeks ago, and I believe I'm going to go back again this next week and paint more mural. All right, I'm just going to go for broad strokes. Eye socket, under nose, mouth, under chin, under lip, under chin. Let's try that, okay? So my brush, this brush is a blunter tool. I don't have quite as much control, so the marks I'm making, as you can see, are a little bit more abstract, which generally I think is the way I want to go with this. Open mouth, under chin, under lip, under chin, collarbone. While I'm at it, go ahead and practice with the hand as well. I think I'm liking this better, honestly. So I think part of the secret might be just use a bigger brush. Be careful not to use a brush that is too precise. So we'll see. I will email one of these or two or three, who knows, to my client and see if it strikes a chord with her. Now I'm trying to mix up a darker, slightly darker than what I just did. And I'm not sure that's no. Rats, I like the color I just mixed up, but I don't think I'm going to use it. Okay, I'm going to do the the eyeball color, eyeball and inside of mouth color. And I'm using a bigger brush than I did last time. Let's ignore the nostril completely. Not on this one, little nostril marks there. Okay, that looks a little scary. Does it not? It looks a little scary at the moment. Let's do a hint of an eyebrow here. Now back to that, the brush that makes a really nice point, and dipping that in my fresh white paint. That's a tip I give all the time. All of these, let me expand out for a second. All of these colors, this is my gouache tray, and of course they're all re-wettable, right? When you add water to these, they are reworkable, and usually there's a little bit of white somewhere. But I find it's too much work to try to re-wet, re-enliven, revivify white. So I always have a tube of white gouache available to get my lights. There you go. Free tip for what it's worth, and it might not be worth anything. All right, so now a fairly precise brush. Ooh, that was a nice tooth march, a little tiny bit of tooth. How about a little reflection on the bottom lip? Oh, no, that won't work because I think I'm going to do, even at this, at this abstraction level, I think I'm going to do pink. On the lips. That's And this whites of the eyes might be overkill. You know, I might be stepping across the line. Whoa, boy, she's got some big teeth now. That's the danger of doing. But maybe it's all right. Maybe it is all right. I think we're okay so far. I don't think I want to use this flat brush though for red lips. Oh, would you look at there? I do have a Winsor Newton Series 7 in that, which is dangerous, right? Because it'll make an absolute perfect mark, and therein lies the danger. But I think I can pull back on the reins. Try not to get too precise with it. Okay, I just want to do top lip, bottom lip, top lip. Ah, it bled over into her teeth again. I won't have that problem with oils. Ah, I'm doing a good job of being a mess. That was not quite the intention. That's not the mess I was looking for. Let's see if I can just clean it up a little bit right at the moment. First of all, with a pencil. So you probably didn't catch that, but my let's see if I can fix it with patch it up with some flesh tone stuff here. By the way, that little formula that I gave you a minute ago for painting faces, that you start with the furthest away and move forward, that is, I'll be pretty emphatic about that, is far and away the way. Now so you can hear that this is one of those rules that, yeah, violate at your peril, in my opinion. When you want to do wrinkles in skin, let's go straight to a cliche. Let's pretend you're doing the old Indian chief head, or Indian woman, either one, and his or her face is just deep furrows of, you know, living an entire life out in a hot sun. All right, so wrinkly face. Follow the principle. Do the far away thing first and the up close second. So what is a wrinkle? Is a wrinkle a piece of the skin that sticks out toward you? No, a wrinkle is a piece of the skin that recesses away from you. That's a wrinkle, right? So if you want your wrinkles to be believable, you paint the wrinkle first, then paint up the skin on each side of it up to that wrinkle second. Just that one little trick would rescue so many. By the way, excuse me, I dropped my Superman glasses on the floor a minute ago, and I want to pick them up. If I really was Superman, I wouldn't need these glasses, right? Well, now the truth is out. I'm not Superman. I know that's a disappointment to some of you. One of the challenges, I mentioned this the other day, one of the challenges of gouache is that it doesn't dry. Sometimes it dries lighter, sometimes it dries darker, usually darker, I think, but even that is not always. So that's just one of the things you have to get used to. Either learn which color does what, when, how, and why, or just experiment till you get it right. I'm mixing up a little bit of white again to repair this girl's teeth. Let's go back to flesh tone over here. So right now, as you can see, I actually am painting with quite detail, which is dangerous, right? Because if you can paint with great detail, then there's a decent, very good chance you get too fastidious, too careful, right? And lose the abstraction, the beauty of the abstraction as it existed just a few minutes ago. So I hope I haven't done that. I've certainly made them a little bit more, cleaned them up. Like over here, this girl's teeth also got messed up. So let's do a repaint her teeth. I think I'm gonna call that done. I'm probably going to scan all three of these. This is the most tight, accurate, the most carefully rendered. These two, well, this one just looks better than that one. Tweaking this eyeball just a tiny bit. Another way to describe this, what I'm aiming for here, is I want my brush strokes to be bold, free, loose. Economy of stroke is, again, an art professor's favorite term, economy of stroke. I want it to look like, oh, I just slapped some marks down, haphazard, quickly, speedily, without a thought. There's a word for that. It'll come to me in a minute. Sprezzatura. Not only do I say the word, I give it to you in the original Italian accent. Sprezzatura means carefree, loose, with ease, and that's a good word for a painter. Generally speaking, a good painter, you want your work to have a certain sprezzatura, the sense that it was done without any premeditation, forethought. You just, it is nothing. Sure, by golly, I actually dropped the brush and it just made this perfect mark. That's sprezzatura exaggerated, all right? So that's, and again, that is sort of one of the characteristics, in my opinion, of the world of illustration in general. But it's also, that's a great description of Rembrandt and John Singer Sargent. But that is indeed how I want it to look. I want it to look like it was effortless. I just threw the brush around and, wouldn't you look at that, would you? It accidentally, I'm trying to achieve this look. It looks like I just threw the brush around, but accidentally landed in just the right place to produce a believable face. All right, so there we go. I think on third thought, I don't think I'm going to send her this one. I don't like that one as much. No, too much detail. I did better on both of these, but of the two, this is the best. So I may just send her this one. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, so I'll end this broadcast here. Let me see what you guys have been saying. Gouache paper. I'm not familiar with the term at all, Uncle. I would think the most typical gouache paper is Bristol board, I would think, or multimedia board. Uncle 60. Oh, you used my community PayPal tip jar. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that, because somebody did ask me the other day about that. Okay, so PayPal tip jar. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hello, Michael, and hello, Yulia Feldman. Oh, I hope I fixed it. Yulia, I hope. Is this in focus now? Or did you want to zoom in even more like that? Well, I can do that. There. Okay, so this, I'll end here. I think this is my best rendering. So we'll see. Let me move you guys just for a minute before I go away. So once again, you can see, who's this guy who's talking? That would be me. Whoa, close up of me. We don't need that, do we? Thank you for your company. I'll end this broadcast here. If I do anything else exciting, in the rest of the day, I'll do another broadcast, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and you fellow Yankee folks, have a great and safe and blessed 4th of July. Bye-bye.